Tennessee with a dominant final stretch there inside the Thompson Bowling Arena Food City Center. Oklahoma was able to make it somewhat close, but then Tennessee, really behind Nate Ament, just pedal to the metal, ran away from the Sooners, end up with a very impressive 23-point victory. Go out and score 89 points, 89-66. I'm John Reed, joined by Donovan Cook. This is the Voluntary Reaction. We want to hear from you, instant reaction. Give us a call, 865-966-3435. Donovan, good to see you. It's been a while.
It has.
Happy to talk to you. Happy to talk to you after a win.
And it came at the perfect time. It came when it looked like it was going to be one of those second half performances where we're up 15, 18 points. They come within 5, and you just start thinking, oh, no, here it goes again. And Tennessee fights back. Now, this Oklahoma team, they're terrible.
I feel like they are bad, but I do feel like they've been playing better basketball as of late. They took down Vandy. They had won a couple games in a row. They had lost some heartbreakers. Their record is really bad, don't get me wrong, but I did think they had started playing a little bit better basketball. I won't say I was worried about this game, but I do think they played you close for 35 minutes. Or, maybe it was only like 33 minutes or so, but they made you sweat, but then Tennessee was able to, like I said, pedal to the metal, foot to gas, belt to ass, just kind of take off.
All behind Nate Ament, too. 29 points. You've said multiple times he wakes up and scores 20 now.
He's at the point, where he can just go ahead and get that done. Nate Ament is the player that everyone waited for. Obviously, it wasn't the start to the season everybody wanted. Doesn't matter. We said here on the show, or at least I did, and I've been saying it for, months just to kind of wait. Give him time. And obviously, over the last, month, he has rewarded you for that patience. He is one of the best players in the country. He is every bit of the 5-star that you were waiting to see.
It's very obvious that he's the best player on the court. Definitely tonight, but most of the time, at all times, he's the best player on the court, and he knows that.
There's only like 7 guys in the country that I think you could see on the court that would dethrone Nate Ament in terms of being the best player on the court. Jacoby Gillespie ain't one of them. All due respect to him, Jacoby Gillespie is the sidekick to Nate Ament, and he was tonight. But he was a good sidekick. Like, Jacoby Gillespie was great tonight.
Him and Akpara both. I mean, you tell me this morning, you tell me any day, any game day, especially, John, will you take your chances if Akpara scores 18 points? I say, yeah, hell yeah.
Good point by you. Akpara was that third scorer tonight. No JP Estrella, so you kind of wondered, will there be a third scorer? Because JP is kind of the most consistent guy when it comes to that. But Akpara stepped up, an absolute ferocious posterizing dunk.
Oof.
On a really great slip pass in the high pick and roll from Jacoby Gillespie. But Ament flushed it, and like you said, he was awesome tonight. This was the Felix Akpara I think we hoped we would see for most of the year, where he comes out, he scores 18 points, he grabs 7 rebounds, 5 of them offensive, he blocks 2 shots, and he is just living around the rim.
He's an inside presence on both sides of the court. That's what you want from whoever your big man's going to be tonight, being Akpara. If it's JP Estrella, you want them to pad the stats, so to say, on both sides of the court. Get those rebounds, get those boards, get those blocks. And when you're in there, don't be a dud. Don't be a Jalen Carey. Score the ball. Dwayne Brown with 11 points tonight, coming in off the bench, doing his job.
Yeah, no, Dwayne Brown is the superior player to Jalen Carey.
Yeah, that
I don't want to be negative about Jalen Carey because, I'll always appreciate the Houston game and what he tried to do at Syracuse. It still blows my mind Rick Barnes drew the game-deciding play up for him. I'll give Rick Barnes a lot of credit for a lot of things, but game on the line at Syracuse, him saying, hey, let's give the ball to Jalen Carey when we have Nate Ament and Jacoby Gillespie on the team is not one of those things, and it only ages worse the further we get away from it. But Dwayne Brown is a better offensive player than him. Dwayne Brown is good offensively. We know that he is a steal when it comes to his offensive talents. But, every night it just seems like you can kind of pencil him in for 8, 10, 12 points. As long as he gets the minutes, he is going to give you some points just hanging around the basket, being a big guy. I know that sounds weird because he hasn't really played well the last couple games. So maybe I can't say that. Maybe I should stop myself of saying you can pencil him in because he had been on a little bit of a slump. I got to be fair. He hadn't been great. But tonight, the most minutes he had played the last couple games, he played a lot against Kentucky and struggled. So strike that from the record, Producer Donovan. Delete that. But I do think that I do have more faith in Dwayne Brown to score than Jalen Carey. That's the overarching point. I take back what I said about being able to pencil him into 8, 10, 12 points. But I do have more confidence when he has the ball than I do Jalen Carey. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, it's not necessarily consistency as it is confidence. The stat that came across the TV that really blew my mind, Jalen Carey has blocked one shot all year. He had been blocked 20 times this year. When they said that stat, I wrote that down. I marked through it. He had then been blocked 21 times. Then had to mark through that. He has now been blocked 22 times. I'm grateful for what he's done for us, John. I'm thankful for the 1, 2, 3, 4 games he has shown up offensively. He has put in the work in the post, but to be an anomaly, to have someone, some person behind a desk, behind a computer screen somewhere researching that, to notice, hey, this looks so far off, we need to deep dive onto this. And I don't want to bark on Jalen Carey. Nate Ament had a great game. Felix Okpara had a great game. We went back and forth with Oklahoma, got within 5, ended up winning by nearly 20.
No, you won. You won by 23. You
23.
killed them. Yeah. You ended up pulling away. Barnes kept the starters in till the very last minutes, but you kept scoring over the final minute and a half or so, Donovan. You ended up winning 89-66. So you did win by 23. And you don't want to start with negatives. You want to start with a positive because it is a 23-point victory. You are 9-4. Did you get the result we needed? I haven't seen the score. Did Alabama end up coming back all the way to beat Arkansas? I saw that they were closing in. They're in overtime right now. Okay, Alabama's up 102-100. So if you can pull that up and kind of keep us posted, let me know in the chat if that fixed our audio. I hope I was able to do so. It wasn't anything you did, Donovan. Don't worry.
It is 102-102.
102-102.
Yep.
865-966-3435 if you want to hop on the show. I get my say in the morning at 8 a.m., so this show is only for you, the audience. So weigh in, give us a call, hang out with us, give us your thoughts. It does kind of end up just being a ho-hum win.
I don't want to take a 20-point victory for granted, but with the opponent being Oklahoma, you don't have the ability to celebrate and hang your hat on that when you have so many quad one games coming up.
You had to avoid this landmine. And just avoid the quad 2 loss. And Oklahoma on paper, on resume, not a good team. Now, again, I think they were playing a little bit better than their record showed. So I was happy to get out with this victory, especially without having to really sweat down the stretch, because once they cut it to 6, once they cut it to 5, it felt like you were headed for a battle. But then you decided or remembered, like, hey, we got Nate Ament. How about we give him the ball? And he just rewarded you with just getting to the basket, getting and ones, getting to the free throw line. They couldn't guard him. Like I said, there aren't very many people in the country that can guard him. So he was able to bring you home. And then Oklahoma, your defense was able to kind of swallow them up there and affect them and shut them down. I'm curious to see what happens in Arkansas, Alabama, though, so keep me posted.
Yep.
BYU, Arizona playing as well tonight. That's a good one. We're here. We're taking your comments. We're taking your calls. Let's head over to the YouTube chat. Shout out to everybody watching online. Make sure you smash that like button. Give us a thumbs up. That helps with the algorithm. Give us some comments. And make sure you're following along so you get all of our content. But let's see. Chad says, Carey was 1 for 8 for layups and 0 for 6 for free throws. He has been trash all year. Did he really go 0 for... Did he really go 0 for from the free throw line? Okay, he went 1 for 6 from the free throw line, which to your point, Chad, that ain't much better than 0 for 6, but I thought I saw him hit 1. And you gave the stat, Donovan, but it made me double, triple take whenever the announcer said it, but Jalen Carey has only blocked 1 shot this year and has been blocked 22 times. That can't be accurate.
The fact that it went from the stat they gave was 20, and the fact that it changed so much to 22 by the time we go on air, that's the thing that really makes me double take and triple take there. The officiating, the fouls, they had some players foul out. Boswell got in trouble. Didn't foul out, but he picked up his 4th, a little quicker than what you would like. But the first half, having 9 combined fouls between 2 teams, and on my way down here, I heard Mike Keith mention this. To have 6 fouls in 1 minute and 40 seconds, within 1 minute and 40 seconds of the second half, I'm not blaming anything on the officials, but it was
I will. No, it's every game, Donovan. The officials, they call one half really loose, they call one half really tight. Sometimes it's the first half that's loose, sometimes it's the second half that's loose. But tonight it was first half free flowing, felt pretty good. I was like, you know what? This game might actually end under 2 hours, Donovan, because we got to halftime. I want to say like 48 minutes or so into the half, and I said, okay, this is good. But then, yeah, both teams were in the bonus by like the 7-minute mark.
Oklahoma was in the bonus by the 15-minute mark, the double bonus by the 7-minute mark.
Yeah. That was brutal. But again, we looked at this stretch of basketball going back 6 games. We said, hey, 5-1 is the bare minimum. We'll shoot for 6-0 if you can win at Kentucky. We'll shoot for that. But you were able to take care of business otherwise. You blew the Kentucky game. We don't have to relitigate that. You were up in the second half, 14 at halftime, and you blew it. Brutal loss, but you took care of business elsewhere. 5-1 during that 6-game stretch. That was the goal. And now you get, on Saturday, Donovan, a Vanderbilt team that is a quality opponent. It is a game that matters. It is a game that is a resume builder. Tennessee positioning themselves well to get a double bye, to be a top 4 SEC standings team. You're working your way up, trying to work your way up in the seeding for the NCAA tournament. I don't know if you can quite get to a 3 seed.
In the big tournament?
Yeah. I don't know if you can quite get there. Now, maybe if you went out, you can get there. Winning out would probably get you to a 3 seed because at that point you'd be, on what, a 8-game winning streak. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, you'd be on an 8-game winning streak, and 4 of your next 5 are quad 1 opportunities. So maybe that would be enough to get you all the way to the 3 seed. Maybe. And that would be a big deal if you could get all the way there. But, of course, you want to beat Vanderbilt any chance you play them. That rivalry is back on. They have risen from the dead. I give them credit. It looks like they were a dead basketball program, but they made the right coaching hire, and Byington's been good. They're a top 25 team. And you're going to go into, I don't want to call it a hornet's nest because I had a friend that called in today and was able to buy tickets. Which, by the way, if a little secret for the Voluntary Reaction listeners, if you say that you are a Vanderbilt alum and you call the ticket office, they will give you face value tickets. So call in, say you want to go to the basketball game on Saturday and make up a lie. Tell them you're a Vanderbilt fan and they will hook you up because that's not sold out yet. But it's a huge game. And Tennessee did their part in setting up that huge game. You know, if you go back before the Alabama game, the season was on the brink. When you went into Alabama, you know, you came off that home loss to Kentucky and you wondered, does this team have it? You were looking at going a couple games under 500 in conference play. Since that moment, Donovan, you have won 7 of your next 8 games. Now you lost to Kentucky again, but you've went 7-1 during an 8-game stretch, setting yourself up to save your season to be a top-ranked team.
And that directly correlates with Nate Ament becoming the dog that he is now. With him maturing, progressing, whichever word you want to associate with that, that is a direct correlation to how the team has progressed.
865-966-3435 if you want to weigh in. Or like I said, you can keep the comments coming over on YouTube.
We are tied 105 with 5 seconds remaining in overtime.
105. That's been a classic game. I mean, I said on Talk Sports today that we were rooting for Alabama. At least that's how I felt. It's like if you're trying to get to second place in the SEC, you needed Alabama to beat Arkansas because, of course, Arkansas beat you head-to-head in the one game you had against them at Arkansas. You have the tiebreaker right now over Alabama. You have a chance of beating them again at home to go 2-0 against them. For tiebreaker purposes, we really want Alabama to win. Let me see if I can pull this game up right quick. Right now, it says there's 7 seconds. Is it in
It
play?
Just updated. There was a video review. It has changed on mine from 5 to 7.
Okay, let's see here. I got it pulled up right in here on YouTube TV. Shout out to them. 7.3 seconds left. 105. It's been a classic game, which credit to John Calipari. You know, that Arkansas team, I was curious how they were going to play together. But they were able to kind of get it fixed, play good, not have the typical John Calipari type of season where they struggle out the gate and get better. They were pretty good from the get-go. And, you know, they got to SEC play, and they have taken care of business there, too. This Alabama team is pretty flawed, but they're at 8-4. They were in a tie with Tennessee when it comes to third place in the SEC. Kentucky blinked last night against Georgia. Tennessee took care of business. Now we wait to see. All right, 7 seconds. Is this Arkansas inbounding the ball here? I believe this is Arkansas inbounding the ball here. Is that right?
I believe it should be Alabama inbounding the ball.
Is Alabama inbounding the ball? Well, who the hell's got the ball? Doesn't matter. We're going to double overtime.
Yeah.
Going to double overtime.
You know who's not going to double overtime?
Tennessee.
That's right. 23-point victory.
Vol Scoops writes in the chat that Vandy announced a sellout last week. I know that might have been what they said, but I had a friend who called the ticket office today and got face value tickets. So, like, I don't know if they're lying about it or what, but they ain't got a sellout right now, at least. This should be a fun game. I'm pumped for the Vanderbilt game. That's a team that peaked early in the season, kind of started struggling, but I will say they've bounced back at least a little bit. That should be a fun game. I expect Tennessee to go in there. I expect the spread to be within 2 points either way. It feels like a near toss-up. Tennessee should go in there riding high, feeling pretty good, because Tennessee's been playing some pretty good basketball. Vandy's coming off of 2 straight wins at Auburn and home against A&M. They're at Missouri tonight. We'll see what they do there. They were, I think, 3.5 point favorites in that game. We'll see how that game goes. It's 11-10 early. No real lean on it just yet, but you know, if Tennessee gets a Vanderbilt coming off of a loss, you could really bury them in the SEC standings if they come in at 8-5. you would, of course, have a little bit more of a desperate team.
That's what I was fixing to say. If you had a preference, do you want them to be desperate, or do you want the opportunity to bury them?
I kind of, like I said, I'm rooting for Alabama in this game against Arkansas. In the Vanderbilt Missouri game, I don't really care. I don't really know if I care about the whole desperation versus confidence thing, because they're on the road tonight. They'll be at home on Saturday. It's a rivalry game. Vanderbilt beating Tennessee matters a lot to Vanderbilt, so I expect their best punch. You're going to be walking into a tough place to play. You're going to be walking in against a motivated team, whether they win or lose. So I don't really care about tonight.
I got you.
It comes down to Nate Ament and Jacoby Gillespie for me, because I think they are the best duo in almost any game they play. Like pretty much any game they're going to walk into, I'll take those two over pretty much any other two in the country.
I can't think of two off the top of my mind. I was going to, as you begun that sentence, I was going to ask you, do you think they're the best duo in the SEC?
They are as good as it gets. The question for me, Donovan, moving forward is, do you get help?
Your third guy?
Yeah, do you get help? Because I feel confident that Ament and Gillespie are going to combine for 40 at the very least. They're going to grab somewhere around 8 rebounds, 10 rebounds between the two of them, and they're going to pass out 6 or 7 assists and play good defense. Can the rest of your squad come through and help that duo? Tonight you had some help. Tonight you had Felix Okpara. You had Dwayne Brown. Those guys showed up. Tennessee continues to be one of the best offensive rebounding teams of all time, or at least of my lifetime. Since the turn of the millennium, they're like a top 4 offensive rebounding team when it comes to offensive rebounding percentage. They just attack the glass and create so many extra possessions. They beat up Oklahoma on the offensive glass, combined with really just going out and getting a whole bunch of steals, too. They forced a lot of Oklahoma turnovers.
Yeah, at half, it was 2-9.
In terms of turnovers?
Yeah.
Well, it ended up at 7-15. So, you had 5 second half turnovers. They had, 6? But, 15 for the game. And Tennessee did a good job of paying those all off with scores. You call them, pick sixes.
Yeah.
Being able to get the Ethan Berg one stood out to me. Like, Ethan Berg was able to give you some minutes again, a couple minutes. He was at least out there. He's re-cracking the rotation, which I think is important for this basketball team because you need another ball handler. I didn't think Berg was great tonight by any means. Don't get me wrong. But I do think I prefer Rick Barnes bringing him along. I do think Tennessee needs him to play. Whether it be 6, 10 minutes, whatever, he needs to go out there and try to give Jacoby Gillespie a little bit of break. Even if Gillespie stays on the court, which he did tonight in the second half when Berg was out there, it takes him off the ball and gives another ball handler. He doesn't have to exert as much energy, which I think is important.
And he didn't play great, but he didn't do anything detrimental.
He had a couple turnovers in the first half, I thought, but not detrimental. Like nothing that made you think, okay, get him out, bury him on the bench again type of thing. Like I don't think he was great tonight by any means, but he showed he can at least, like I said, go out there and play. Give you a couple minutes. He ended up with 9, according to utsports.com. He played 9 minutes, 1 of 1 from the field. His only shot was the layup on the steal. 1 turnover. Whatever. 9 minutes, only 1 turnover. I can live with that. It's not like he jacked up a bunch of bad shots. He played under control. He set the stage. He set the table. And like I said, gave Gillespie a little bit of a breather.
And you don't need everybody to be Nate Ament, Jacoby Gillespie.
No, not at all.
That's his role. As long as he does his job that way, then this team has the ability to rest up during the game and come out and execute in the second half and not be wore out and fatigued and let those teams creep back in or not be able to close out a game.
I'm going to ask you something. It's coming from the YouTube chat. Shouts everybody watching over on YouTube, Fan Run Sports over there. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, Send us some comments. Follow the page. Red Hill resident writes in, Carey legacy game Saturday. Of course, going up against his former school.
Does he get his second block of the year?
The streets are starting to call him Whiskey Dick.
Expand on that.
He's not very good at finishing.
I got you.
He's not very good at finishing. He gets around the rim, and Whiskey Dick misses a couple of times. It's not my nickname. The streets are calling him that.
You're just the messenger.
I'm just the messenger. It's not going well for him. The Brewster writes in, anybody else sick of Carey, Angel, Reesing it down there? I don't know which one's more offensive, calling him Whiskey Dick or calling him Angel Reese. I don't know which one's worse.
I know which one I'd rather be called, but I'm not a basketball player, and I'm not a good one for sure.
Carey legacy game? I mean, I hope not. I hope JP Estrella's back and we get JP Estrella back in the lineup and we kind of, limit our Jalen Carey minutes. I don't want my Jalen Carey minutes starting with a 2. That's one of my goals for the box score. Don't have his minutes start with a 2. Meaning, Donovan, I want him to max out at 19 minutes. You look a little confused on the other side of the glass.
Yeah.
Give 16 minutes of Jalen Carey. That's enough of the experience. I'm good with that. Give me one strong 4-minute spurt at about the 12 to 8-minute mark. Give me maybe another one from like the 4 to 3-minute mark, and then we'll figure it out in the second half. Like, I don't want him in crunch time. I don't want him starting the game. I want his minutes starting with a 1.
So if you think Estrella's healthy, or the starting 5, Jacoby, Boswell, Ament, Okpara, and Estrella?
Yeah, I mean, I think you go back to what it was. And I don't know if Estrella's healthy because that injury kind of came out of nowhere, right? It was just an update from practice. And like, oh, he kind of got banged up in practice, but here he is. You hope that he is going to be ready to go and that it was just precautionary. You hope that it was just something to like, hey, set out this Oklahoma game. They're not very good. Get healthy for the much more important Vanderbilt game because the Vanderbilt game is important. Like I said, it's a quad 1 game. It is a rivalry game, and it's a team you're fighting for position in the standings. I was about to say you're chasing in the standings. That's not the case anymore after Tennessee's win streak. You're ahead of them right now in the standings.
And unless they win tonight, then it'll be tied back up. Right?
Then you'll be tied back up. That's correct. Right now, Alabama, Arkansas tied again at 108 to 108. A banger of a game down in Tuscaloosa. A banger of a game. Darius Acuff Jr. right now with 46 points. You don't see too many 50 spots in college. I know this one might have a little bit of an asterisk next to it since it's double overtime, but still, 46 points. Ridiculous. Phylon with 32. These boys are hooping.
Yeah. I can't get off the Jalen Carey legacy game. I'm sorry for being scattered, but
I hope so. Like, if Jalen Carey plays well, that's obviously good for Tennessee unless they then start calling plays for him, which is a little weird because when he gets going, Barnes is like, he starts relapsing.
He's like, it's Grant.
He's like, oh, yeah, this is Grant Williams. This is how basketball is meant to be played. Throw it in the post. He's a heavier version of LaMarcus Aldridge. Give him the ball. I don't feel that way when I watch, but Barnes does.
He's the only one that it matters to, I guess.
Tennessee's overall numbers, they were good from the field, 33 of 63. That's 52%. That's a really good shooting night from the field. From three-point range, not so much. 5 of 18. And Nate Ament was 3 of those makes. So if you remove Nate Ament's makes, the rest of the team was 2 of 11, which really that comes from Jacoby Gillespie. He was 2 of 9. Only Boswell shot 2 other threes. No one else on the team attempted one. So the three-point shooting was lacking tonight for Tennessee, but it didn't matter because they were so good around the rim. Hit enough free throws. They didn't really improve too much on their 14th ranked 70%. They went 72% tonight, anchored down by Jalen Carey, who went 1 of 6. No pun intended.
Anchored down.
No pun intended. No pun intended.
That shot, that 3 from Ament, as the time was running out there from the E.
It looked like that was going to be the dagger that was going to blow the game blow the game open because I believe that put you up 18.
Yeah.
Somewhat early in the second half, and it looked like, okay, Tennessee's got complete control of this. And then I think Oklahoma immediately answered with a 9-0 run of their own to get it back down to 9. Nigel Pack would hit a couple threes, they'd get a couple free throws. But yeah, that 3 by Ament, that was really, really good. He then proceeded to miss 2 from the corner and basically airball both of them. So that wasn't good.
Yeah, not a good look there. But that shot and Akpara's dunk and Nate's dunk later on as the minutes were winding down in the second half, all highlight real plays. But Oklahoma would do that. They would go on these droughts, and we would get up, and then they'd hit. They'd go on a 9-0 run, a 6-0 run.
Give me a letter grade for tonight. What would you grade Tennessee's performance? And keep in mind they won by 23 and scored 89 points.
A minus.
A minus? Okay. I was thinking B plus.
That's what my initial thought was.
A minus, you're a good grader. That's good. When you win by 23 and you cover the spread by, you double up the spread. It wasn't like Tennessee was 20-point favorites tonight. They were only favored by 11. You doubled up the spread. You took care of business. You scored 89 points. It was an outburst. Your stars were stars, and you had, Felix Akpara hopefully gain some confidence. Because that's been the frustrating part, Donovan, so far this season is he doesn't have to be dynamic to score 12 points. He just has to catch the ball and be active and get some putbacks and dunks. That's really all he has to do.
Just be big.
Yeah, just be big and utilize being big. And tonight, that's what he did. Now, the short roll dunk, the poster, that was special.
Yeah,
that was special. But that was also, 2 of 18 points. Even if you take that away, he still had a pretty damn good game.
That's what you want from whoever that third guy is going to be, him or Estrella. That's what you want. You want them to come out and get, I say at minimum 14 points. What do you say?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Whoever your third guy is, you want them scoring minimum 14?
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Like I said, I'm going to pencil in 40 from Jacoby and Ament. You hope that it really gets closer to 50 or at least like 47 or so. 25 from one guy, 22 from the other. I mean, that's very possible with Ament, or even 28 and 20, something like that. But yeah, no, if your third scorer can give you 14, I think that's a success. What I get worried about with this team is that sometimes that third scorer hangs out at like 8 or 9, and you don't have anybody that really steps up. 865-966-3435 if you want to weigh in. Hell, Donovan didn't come all the way down here just to talk to me. He wants to hear from you.
That's right.
But if not, we can get out of here. It's all good. Like I said, I'll be live on the radio, 8 a.m. for Talk Sports. Hell, Donovan, you can call in there and talk about it if you want to. Not sure writes in, where is Bubba? Bubba's snoozing, brother. Bubba's taking a break. Hell, if you listen to Talk Sports, I'm lucky. I'm lucky if I can get in there by 8 a.m. Bubba's a good man, though. I'm sure he's listening live. Shout out to you, Bubba. 865-966-3435. Who we got, Donovan?
We've got Anthony on the line.
Anthony, welcome to the show. The floor is yours.
What's up, Big John?
What's up, Anthony?
There's not a lot to say about this game, really. I don't get a chance to talk to you much. You don't take calls on your show, but I thought I'd call in and give you a holler.
I appreciate it. And you know what, Anthony? If you want to call in the morning, call in. The first hour we're usually talking all Vols, so call in if you want to. I know that it seems like I don't take calls. I just don't ask for them. If you do call in, chances are Sam will answer it and put you on. But yeah, if you want to talk to us, call us in the morning. But I'm happy you called tonight. What are your thoughts? Because you are right. It was a boring game. There's not many takeaways from it other than Nate Ament really good. Felix Akpara showed up. Other than that, it was a ho-hum performance.
Well, yeah, I was going to touch on Felix. I thought this was his best game. I thought really he's been a disappointment.
Yeah.
Compared to what we thought he might be this year, pretty much all season. But he really looked good tonight, and we needed it at times. He made some big plays that kind of, they cut it to 6 there for a minute, and he kind of got that. I can't remember when he got that big dunk, but it was pretty close to, right around when they cut it down.
His dunk might have actually pushed it back to 8, and then I think it sparked a Tennessee run. I think you got a Felix dunk and then a couple Ament shots that kind of pushed it back up to 15.
speaking of Ament, I heard y'all talking about his three ball. I don't, when I watch him play, he still doesn't look like a natural 3-point shooter to me. His shot comes out a little flat from the three, from behind the arc. What do you think about that?
No, I think that's fair, and I think you saw that from the corner tonight. Now, I will say his shooting has improved during his hot streak. Like, I mean, he is up close to 40%, so it might not look pretty, but he does have an 8-9 game sample where he's hitting at an elite clip. 40% is where the elite shooters hang out, and he is hitting at that clip. But like you said, it's not necessarily the prettiest thing.
When teams foul Carey, it's basically a turnover,
Man, it really is. And I don't understand why Barnes is so in love with him. I understand, like, you like toughness, but, like, it's not like he's a great defender, and he doesn't make free throws. He doesn't do a lot of the little things that you need to do as a role player, but maybe the toughness is an equal pass or, an equal trade-off, if you will. But, I mean, like you said, when Carey's at the free throw line, you're praying he makes one of two. You'll take 50%.
Yeah, I get it if you're a big 7-foot goof out there trying to shoot free throws, but he's not even that tall. I don't really understand how he's so bad at free throws. I feel like last year when we played Vandy, he was making 3-pointers against us.
He whipped our ass in Knoxville, which I think is maybe why he is on this team. I think he impressed Rick Barnes, and Rick Barnes was like, hey, this guy's tough, and he went toe-to-toe with Ziegler, and he had a double-double. I want to say he had like 16 and 10 or something, and I think that might be why he's on this team.
Yeah, my friend was texting me during the game. He's like, yeah, I think we've got the turnovers figured out, and our defense is better. And I'm like, well, hold up a little bit. It looks good right now against Mississippi State and LSU and Oklahoma. But I think the real test these next few games, I think we're going to learn a lot Saturday, and then going forward, playing, Vandy twice, Alabama, Missouri. Those are tough games. But, it gives us a chance. I think we could climb up to that 4 line.
I said maybe even get to a 3 if you win them all. If you win them all, and then don't mess up in the SEC tournament, you have a chance to really improve your stock. I think getting to the 3 is a big deal compared to the 4 because, of course, you don't want to play a 1 seed in that Sweet 16 game. So, like, if you can win them all and get that high, that would be a big, big, big difference. The difference between 4 and 5 is not that drastic to me. And you could honestly argue that 6 is maybe better than both of those. But I do think going for the 3 seed would be worth it. And you do have 4 quad 1 opportunities staring at you in the face. Anthony, you talked about Felix Okpara. By my quick count, tonight was only his second game of the last 18 where he scored double figures.
Felt like it.
The only other game where he scored double figures was against Texas A&M, double overtime. He scored 10. Before that, you had to go all the way back to Rutgers on November 25th to get a double figures game from him. So there haven't been very many of those at all.
That may have been the second game of the season.
Rutgers was I believe the 6th game of the season. So yeah, not far off.
It was early.
Yeah, not far off.
Yeah, that was early. He played pretty good defense tonight too. People give him a lot of credit for being a rim protector, and I've really not even been impressed with his defense this season either. But he looked good tonight. Maybe this is we know what he can do, and we know what he can't do. And I think, if we can get performances like this out of him, maybe we could play Carey a little less, and we get Estrella back.
Hey, Big Tone, I appreciate the phone call, brother. Like I said, if you want to call me in the morning, give me a shout. Appreciate you listening, man. Thanks for getting us started.
All right, man, see you.
865-966-3435 if you want to continue the momentum there. We'll take a couple more phone calls before we get out of here. Donovan, Tony touched on it. I hope he doesn't mind me calling him Tony. Anthony touched on it. And it's true. Like, Okpara has been disappointing. But I'll say the same thing about him that I said about Nate Ament. If you finish the season strong, it doesn't matter. If all of a sudden Felix Okpara is that guy that can go out and score 12, 14, 15 points, grab some offensive rebounds, block some shots, protect the rim, if he does that down the stretch, it elevates Tennessee's chances, and you won't care that he only scored 5 against Illinois in December.
And his game is not forcing it and just letting the game come to you. Everyone else playing well tonight led to him.
Not to cut you off, but it is a final. Alabama survives double overtime, 117-115. So that's good for Tennessee. It brings Arkansas down. Now they are tied in the loss column. So you could say Tennessee is tied for second place in the SEC right now. Arkansas also has a trip to Gainesville coming up in the next couple games. So that should be a loss. I don't think you can catch Florida when it comes to winning the SEC, but finishing second, a very realistic goal right now for the Vols. But you're right in what you were saying, Donovan. Felix Okpara, he's not Jalen Carey in the sense that, like, you don't have to run post-ups for him. I hate watching Jalen Carey post-ups. I don't know how many more times we can say that. I hate watching it. But, like, Okpara, he doesn't need those. He gets his off of energy plays or, just quick, hey, I flash in the paint, quick dump down, baby hook, boom. If not, I'm passing it back out.
Yeah, he can get his subpar 8 points, 6 points from putbacks. If he's playing if everyone's playing together, he can get that from putbacks. And then letting those pick and rolls and finding the open space off the screens and this, that, and the other, getting those other 4 to 6 points there. He has the capability of doing that. It's just whenever he gets the ball and he feels like he has to force. He feels I have to score right now. I feel like that's when he messes up. And then he goes through that drought where his confidence is down and he can't play worth crap. But if I won't say peaking, but if he's back to playing well and Estrella comes back and he's healthy and he's playing well, things are looking up for the postseason, John, especially the SEC tournament.
Shout out to Mona Lisa in the chat for passing along the Alabama news. Feels good to get a win there. Like I said, I was rooting for Alabama. I'm not going full Crimson Cody and screaming Roll Tide or anything, but that was a good result for Tennessee. This week has been good between Kentucky dropping an embarrassing one to Georgia, which I don't know if you've looked at Kentucky's schedule. They are not firmly safe in the tournament, which is kind of wild because they've been a thorn in our side. They're the only team that's beat you in the last, 9 games? They've given you 2 L's, but they are not safe when it comes to making the tournaments. That loss to Georgia was a really bad one at home. It really does bother me that Tennessee was, dropped both of those to them. But, at Auburn, at South Carolina, Vandy, at A&M, Florida, I mean, you could easily convince me that they go 1-4 down the stretch.
Oh, yeah. With
only a win at South Carolina. You could convince me of that pretty easily. They're not a very good team. That would drop them to 1-4, make them 18-13. I think that would put them pretty firmly on the bubble. Unfortunately, their 2 wins over Tennessee are going to do a lot of heavy lifting for them. We're kind of their best resume builder for the most part.
Yeah, and it hurts that they are performing as poorly as they are and how they beat you. That's why it's sticking with us. It's stinging still.
We are live in the White Claw Hard Seltzer Studios. Shout out to White Claw for their support, as well as Cherokee Distributing. Last call for phone calls. Man, last time I did one of these, we had 12 phone calls after the Georgia game. I thought people were fired up. Tonight, Anthony said it. Not a whole lot to say. Not a whole lot to really break down. The Vanderbilt game on Saturday is a big one. Tennessee about to go through a big stretch. 865-966-3435. The takeaways from tonight, Nate Ament, really good.
Dog.
Jalen Carey, a little frustrating.
Who does it say more about, John, Oklahoma or Tennessee, that we can win by 23 points and there not be much to say about it?
What does it say about Oklahoma, or what does it say about us?
Who does it say more about?
I think it just, we've seen our fair share of these performances from Rick Barnes' teams over the last 5 years. I don't think we should take for granted that we feel pretty confident against every team in the SEC at home except Kentucky. Mark Pope, John Calipari, both of them, over the last 4 or 5 years, they've had our number in Knoxville. We can't really beat Kentucky in Knoxville. It's frustrating. But really, outside of that, we don't really lose inside the Thompson-Boling Arena at Food City Center to other teams. I know Missouri got you on the buzzer beater a couple of years ago, but for the most part, you do have these just ho-hum performances where it's not always pretty, but you get these big wins. Now, that being said, like, Oklahoma ought to be ashamed. The Porter Mosier hire was a whiff, an air ball, a brick, whichever one you want to call it. Like, that was a mistake. It never really made sense to leave Chicago to go to Oklahoma. It didn't really feel like the right fit when he left Loyola to go there. It didn't feel like it was going to make sense. I think clearly this year, you know, they've got proof that it's not going to work. I wouldn't be surprised if he got fired. I'd actually be surprised if he was back next year. Like, I think it's ran its course. But that Oklahoma program used to be elite, man. Like, I mean, Buddy Hield, I mean, they went to the Final Four with him, right? Or at least got close to it. I don't know if they actually made the Final Four, but
yeah, he and then Trey.
Yeah, the Trey Young year they lost in the first round, so they weren't great, but they at least were a firm tournament team. Like Blake Griffin, same way. Like, I mean, they were really good with him. Lost to Louisville that year, but at least they were a firm tournament team. The way they've fallen over the last 10 years, all I'll say is they should be very thankful for John Mateer, because if John Mateer had not carried them to 10-2 this year, and that defense hadn't carried them to 10-2, and they didn't get a pretty good schedule, they'd have some real questions about all of their programs outside of women's softball. But
shout out softball.
Shout out to the softball team. But the football team went 10-2.
Yeah.
So they probably don't feel as bad now knowing that. You know, it's not a good feeling to get that in the chat where somebody just says the irony. The official Lounge 8 just writes in the irony. And I'm sitting here in my mind like, what would be the irony? I really, really hope it wasn't the whiskey dick comment. I hope they weren't saying the irony about that, accusing one of us of.
Maybe it's two bald guys.
What's wrong with being bald? Ain't nothing wrong with being bald.
Ain't nothing wrong with being big, beautiful, and bald.
There ain't nothing I can do about it. That's just genetics.
Same.
Elijah writes in, is Auburn missing the tournament? They're currently losing to Mississippi State. Yeah, no, they are in trouble, Elijah. Like, this first year for Stephen Pearl has not gone well. They are, 14-11 right now. They don't have any wiggle room. And yeah, if you lose to Mississippi State, that would feel like I don't know if I can call it a death blow, but they are currently on a 4-game losing streak. Losing to Mississippi State would obviously put them in a 5-game losing streak. And they don't really have enough quality wins to change our perception about them. But that's also good news for them, is that they have 4 winnable games: Kentucky, at Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and LSU. Maybe they could get hot and kind of fix that record. But no, this has been a bad first year for Stephen Pearl for sure.
I mean, it's what I expected from Stephen Pearl.
I tried to give him a fair shake.
Yeah.
I tried to say, like, hey, because everyone made fun of him and called him a Nepo baby. And I think those people are going to ultimately be right. All I said was, like, hey, there is a chance that maybe he's good. And I was just saying, hey, if you had just removed the whole Nepo baby side of it and just said, hey, this is a former guy who played in the SEC that has been a lead assistant on a good SEC program for like the last 4 years, and he got the head coaching job, you'd probably give him a chance. But because he was Bruce's son, we all assumed he was going to suck. And I just said, hey, I'm not ready to say that. Maybe he's really smart. Maybe he's good. Because a lot of Auburn people try to give him credit for their defense. But it's clear that he is not very good. It is clear that he is unqualified for this job. It does turn out that everybody that said Nepo baby is a lap ahead right now. Now, maybe there'll be a caution that gets thrown. Maybe he catches up next year. But for right now, the Nepo baby is clearly in the lead.
Well, and it's who he took over for, where he took over at. Terrible timing for him.
Yeah.
As far as optics.
For sure. Like, the fact Bruce made it look like he only wanted his son to get the job and was going to retire and force the hand was not a good look. All right, last call for phone calls. 865-966-3435. We don't hear from you in the next minute. We're out of here. I'll be back 8 a.m. to talk about it on Talk Sports. Ho-hum. Vols win. Nothing groundbreaking here. Donovan, the floor is yours for final thoughts.
Nate Ament being a dog. Hopefully he stays being a dog. I really do believe, John, that we have a team that can make it to the SEC championship in the tournament if Nate continues to play the way he has, and that third, whoever it may be, I don't care who it is, but there's a third guy that'll step up.
Yeah, no, if you get to that 2 seed or 3 seed and you avoid Florida in the semifinals, you can definitely win that game, get to the finals. Can you beat Florida and win the SEC championship? You can, but man, they just feel like a bad matchup. It feels like down low they're just tougher than you, and that's Tennessee's strength. Feels like they bully the bully a little bit when we play them. But you'll take your chances in an SEC championship game, and who knows, maybe they don't even get there. But if you can get to a 2 seed or a 3 seed, you don't have to worry about it. Somebody else could knock them out. I'd like another shot at Arkansas. You played them pretty close for the majority of that game on the road. Now, they pulled away from you at like the 7-minute mark and kind of built that lead, but that was a different Nate Ament in that game.
Yeah, entirely. That was the first SEC game, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, like, and just a different Nate Ament all around, but like to me, he has really improved his free throws. A lot of people were ready to write him off, and that was kind of the low point of that Arkansas game. He scored 13 points, but he went 5 of 11 from the free throw line. And that's one thing that's going to make the fan base mad when you miss your free throws. Because they're free. You got to make those. But if you look at him tonight, 8 of 8. Saturday against LSU, 10 of 11. Last week against Mississippi State, 6 of 6. Against Kentucky, 5 of 6. So in his last 4 games, he has made, I think, 29 free throws and missed 2.
You'll take that.
Yeah, 29 of 31. You'll take that.
And he's defending well.
I mean, that's the reason I didn't give up on him. That's the reason on Talk Sports I was saying, hey, you guys can get rid of your Nate Ament stock. You can call him a bum. You could say he sucks. You hate him, whatever. But like I believe the offense was going to come. But I said, even if the offense doesn't come, he's still an elite defender, and he's still a good SEC player just based off of effort and defense. Now the offense has come, and he's still playing really good defense, and he's still 6'10" and athletic and can challenge shots at the rim and grab rebounds and get into passing lanes. He's one of the best players in the SEC. He's one of the best players in the country. He's one of the best players Tennessee has ever had. I mean, he's at that level now. Like, I mean, the way he's playing over the last 4 weeks, the last month, he is playing at a level that few Tennessee players have exceeded. I'm not going to say he's better than Dalton Knecht. That's not true. Grant Williams, he's not better than Grant Williams. But that's kind of the only 2 that I'm saying for sure that he's not better than. Now, listen to arguments. If you want to tell me that Chaz Lanier was better, if you want to tell me, I don't think so. If you want to tell me Admiral was better, whatever. But, like, to me, Nate Ament is kind of putting his stamp on his career at Tennessee. And I'm not saying he's not even better than I am saying that. He's not better than Dalton or Grant. He's really good. He's playing really good at a high level. But, hell, I mean, he's if you just look at the last, starting the Alabama game, just his points, 29, 19, 22, 28, 29, 16, 22, 29, while playing defense, while grabbing 8 rebounds a game. That is rarefied air.
He's becoming someone when you need a shot, the fans are screaming, just throw it to Nate.
Yeah, and that's what makes the second half drought so frustrating. And that's what's made Rick Barnes so frustrating this year, is that it does feel like you have a cheat code. Tennessee should never go in a 6-minute drought. Or, even going back to the Mississippi State game. What was that run you gave up? 18-0? You should never give up an 18-0 run while you have Nate Ament. Because you should be able to throw him the ball, and he's going to get to the free throw line, at least get you 1 free throw.
Yeah.
All right, Donovan, appreciate you traveling down. We'll get the podcast up if you missed any of it. Shout out to Big Tone, a.k.a. Anthony, and shout out to all the people in the YouTube chat that interacted. We'll put up the podcast. Russell will be here on Saturday after the Vanderbilt game. If you don't have any plans, you can come hang out with us at Barley's to watch the game. Appreciate y'all. We'll talk to you in the morning.